And I was sitting right there in front of a bunch of competitors, and when he did that air, you saw people kind of looking at each other like, oh, okay, I guess we're allowed to do that. You can do that. So we'll see what happens. I think in this one, it's going to be all about the precision, all about the rails. There have been so many just poster moments. You see these sets rolling through, and it's going to be Joao Chianca. Nice airdrop to start this wave. Gets way out in the open face, having some trouble dealing with the chop coming up the face of this one. Here he goes, up and into the lip. A little bit out of control here. He's hand gestures. What is going on right now? So Joao Chianca speeding down line. He goes into there. Helicopter.
That was literally a helicopter rotation.
Yeah. He was out of control basically that whole wave.
Yeah, and that's all because of that chop. We have obviously those north winds swinging a little bit to the northeast.
So he looks like he does not have a caddy in the water though. So somebody's gonna have to run across the rocks right now. This is gonna be interesting. This is why you have a caddy out here. This is why we allow them, because the rock dance is not easy. Obviously, we've been seeing everybody throughout this entire waiting period crab crawl across those rocks. So this is gonna be interesting. I think somebody's in there now trying to get out to him. Maybe that's Brent.
Wow.
Brent Power.
Yeah, straight out. It almost looked like he was signaling for a new board halfway through that wave, so maybe the turn.
Not really the fault of the team, just throwing it at someone else.
All right, E.Ewing now. He knew that Ethan was going to shine in conditions like this. 3 swooping turns to start. Here's where the wave starts to speed up a little bit through to the inside section. Even Ethan is, being slowed down a little bit by these winds that are not necessarily offshore, but really kind of like upshore. They're going straight into the pocket, and you saw that he was kind of hung up on his turns. He still turned through them, sliced his way down the face, but almost like your body becomes a sail.
This is starts off a pretty decent wave for Ethan. Beautiful carve, and you can see the difference in between the both surfers. Obviously this wave a little bit easier to ride, but as much as he's going through the lumps, he's cutting the water nicely. More steady, more composed on top of the board. Gets steeper right there. Nice carve for him, and then the wave kind of just dies out. That wave felt like it never really gave him the opportunity in front of him. He was always trying to get that bottom turn a little deeper to find the actual criticalness of the wave, but maybe lacking a little bit of intensity on that wave. Not the surfing, but just the wave itself. This is a nice carve right here. Maybe the next one, where he gets tighter. You see that wave gets a bit steeper. Then he goes up in vertical, but the wave's once again dying out. Feel like he just didn't want to wait for too long, like 12 minutes have been by, and you don't want to sit there and maybe no sets come in your heat, because we've seen that before happen a few times yesterday. Mostly with that very low tide that we just went through right now at 8 o'clock.
Wind can also kind of mess with your vision. There was a priority switch. This was the wave that Joao Chianca took off on, and that's not going to help him. He handed priority back over to E.Ewing.
That looks like a smaller wave in size, but he had a good pace to it. You can see he's not running down the line too much.
Heading out there to go up against George Pitar. Now we're back to the lineup. Joao Chianca looking a lot more controlled now. Watch out for that rock. Oh my goodness. That was sketchy. And that entire wave, again, not doing Joao any favors. A couple good turns out the back, but the whole thing.
The surfers with all that chatter, you don't want that too fast of a wave. And right in the corner of his eyes right there, having to go over that big rock.
Because Mama does not mess around.
Well, we've seen a fin get busted through.
We've seen some carnage. 10:30 to go here. Joao Chianca trying to recover from a few early wild waves. That's how you do it. Big old layback slash for Joao. Comes through the inside section. Things get dodgy in here. Dry reef, watch out. Gosh, right there. That was
question.
Straight up dry rocks on the inside. I love how committed Joao Chianca is. And this is a kid who will surf any wave. I mean, all the Chiancas will charge anything, but right here, just not even worrying about the boiling cauldron of boulders right in front of him.
This is a beautiful layback. Look at that front foot almost comes undone and then gets that release. He's going to get rewarded for just this turn itself.
I can't believe how much adjustment went down in the span of one turn.
Yeah.
Front foot, back foot, and then he was able to come out of it with speed. That was highly technical surfing from Joao Chianca.
If he can apply the same surfing in a bigger wave or something just like what Ethan had right behind.
On the beach, on the rocks, watch out. E.Ewing right behind him, second wave of the set. We'll see if this one has a little bit more water underneath it through the inside. He is flying down the line. Big float, late hit. He goes down. These surfers are getting Napoleon blown apart by these waves.
And obviously had no priority, so he had to pull the trigger and try and get something. Here's Ethan on a much bigger wave. Not much bigger, but bigger in size and just stretched out down the line way better. Goes for a pretty big floater. Comes around the section, but right here you're going to see his front arm. It's going to move up while the board gets down, and that's just the perfect recipe for you to fall off. Right here, he starts to bottom turn. Puts his board up and vertical. Look at his front arm. It's going to start to go up, and he loses balance. Tries to regroup, but that's too late already with all the elements that are happening in the wave.
E.Ewing with priority. Grabs this one. Looks like a mid-sizer, but a clean face for E.Ewing to work on here. That was a solid turn. Just using both rails of his board to perfect effect. Quick float through to the inside. Best wave of the heat so far?
Yes, no doubt about it.
7:14 to go. E.Ewing now just laying down the law. I'm actually pretty surprised at where he stands. You know, he is coming back from injury in 2024, where he finished 34th. And going up against E.Ewing, I mean, you got to do everything perfect. Because that's what he's doing.
Yeah, this is when he starts to load up right here. This third turn here, once the wave got very steep, very aggressive, and finish it off down the line with the lip line, but that's all he needed to do. He didn't need to do much more than that. He already knew he had a solid wave in front of him. Just gets up and vertical, presses on that back foot, and then pushes. Make sure the rails are clean by pressing on the back foot and putting the bottom of the board through the lip and over the lip.
Looks like we've got a rider up.
This is Joao now answering back, flying down the line. Big layback snap there. Love this high speed approach from Chianca. Another big slam there. Oh no, I hear a cliche coming. He's throwing caution to the wind and flying again into this inside section. Just does not care about his body, his board.
Health.
He's doing it all.
And this is Joao on kind of a cleaner wave, less chatter on the face. Sets up very nicely for the second carve, the layback carve here. Maybe had a little bit more that he could put on that wave, on that turn itself. This is beautiful. Very tight on the pocket. And right here, I felt like he just kind of needed to finish the wave more than try to push and force and blow tail reverse. This is the only down point for me here. I felt like probably thought the wave was going to run down the line a bit more. There's more room to be filled in that turn specifically. And that kind of set himself up a little bit ahead of the wave in this third turn here. That little detail made the difference of him getting even a bigger score than he's probably going to get, which is probably going to be his best score so far.
Judges now deliberating, working on scores. E.Ewing's number comes through, a 7.33. And this just happened on the paddle back out for Joao. 277. So all scores are in now. Joao Chianca's last wave of 5.33.
There's more commitment to Joao. Like you can see he's pushing it harder, going more into the lip. But also, with that being said,
looks like a significant wave coming through here. E.Ewing. Here we go again. The windup. Opening turn is a beaut. Second one, solid. Mixing up his maneuvers down the line, goes vertical. Just explosions of spray way back into the whitewater there. That was a combo.
That's when he really started to lay down that rail work that we're used to seeing from him. That wave was a bit cleaner on the face.
Form of it just looked like the perfect way for him to do damage. When I took off, when he took off, I was like, wow, this is going to be fun to watch. And it was just, every turn was another nail in the coffin for Joao Chianca. I'm sorry, but that was just like, tink, tink, tink. It was just like the next 10, tink, tink, tink was just closing up that coffin. So, you know what? I think this one's over. That was some incredible surfing. And, well, Ethan just really put it to him.
Wow, Strider's calling it with 1:15 left. At the moment, Joao Chianca would need a 7.33. As we watch the replays now, I mean, Ewing is throwing so much spray. If it wasn't this offshore.
Mostly in Joan's first wave, I felt like that wave, the 283, had potential for a very good score. But it looks like he's going to get an opportunity here. Needs to go massive.
Yeah, now looking for a 9.43. Ethan's last wave comes through a 7.43. Here's the speed. Just missed, looked like he missed the grab, which would have been crucial to try a maneuver like that. Ewing just put on a clinic, and that's why he got that bigger score, 7.43 and 7.33. Let's up his heat average now. Let's make it a 14.76. An incredible showing from Ewing.